What's up, Illusioneers? It's the Wizard here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the difference between the V1 and V2 Gold Steampunk decks by Theory 11. Now, starting off with the tuck cases, as you can see, there is a massive difference between both the V1 and V2 Steampunk tucks, simply because the V1 features this flat gold coloration that's also quite dull and features no embossing. Now, this was released at about the same time that the bronze and silver versions of the Steampunk deck were out as well, and it was a stark contrast to those two decks because the bronze and the silver both featured a reflective and embossed tuck, despite the bronze being the only true Theory 11 print run for the long term, and the silver was more of a USPCC type deck. But setting those aside, it's very obvious that Theory 11 has picked up the metallic theme and completed the trio of reflective tucks with this particular gold tuck case, which of course is embossed and reflective. Now, the other main difference is in the sticker seals. The V1 has a gold sticker seal, whereas the V2 has the standard black sticker seal. But aside from that, the designs of the tucks, as well as the insides, are about the same, aside from the V2 being reflective and very shiny. But things get much more interesting when we start comparing what comes inside the tuck cases, and as you'll note right off the bat, there is a Theory 11 ad card for the deck that it was included with the Gold Steampunk V2. Now, the V1, if I recall correctly, did have an ad card included with it. The only catch is, since I've had the deck a fair amount of time and have used it a bit, I no longer have the ad card. But set that aside, the V2 features a double-backed playing card as the gaff, whereas the V1 has a blank face card as the gaff card. Also, the Joker designs are different because the V2 features that Theory 11 Joker look with the custom text, whereas the V1, which was a USPCC print, has both a guarantee Joker and the other Joker with their standard symbols. So that's another key difference. Now, put the two back designs up next to each other, and there's not too many huge differences. The design work is still the same, but the colorway on the V2 is slightly different from the V1. And personally, I think I actually prefer the way the V1 was colored, but this is where the catch is. I don't prefer the way the faces are on the V1, because as you can see, the V1 Gold Steampunks feature bicycle standard faces all the way around with absolutely no customization whatsoever to the colorways, and the only thing that was custom on the faces of the V1 Gold Steampunks was the Ace of Spades. Whereas if you look at the V2 that was printed by Theory 11, they have their Ace of Spades with a slightly different colorway where the green is a bit brighter and a bit more emphasized. And then going through, even though everything appears to be as it would be in a bicycle standard, this is where the stark difference is. If you look at the quartz, they have been given their custom colors that we're all used to in Theory 11 decks, and the red cards have been dimmed in intensity by comparison to the V1, which is, again, a much better touch for the court cards. So all around, I definitely like the way the V2 was printed, and I'm not so much a fan of the V1s. However, if you do take a look at the way the V1 versus the V2 Steampunks handle, you'll notice that while the stocks are of approximately the same thickness and flexibility, in that they are both a bit thicker than that of a bicycle standard and a bit less flexible, you'll notice that the two decks are cut differently because the V1 is cut with a modern cut while the V2 features a traditional cut. But set that aside, and both decks both the V1 and the V2 feature the same embossed finish that we've come to love on USPCC decks, and of course the borders are relatively thick on both, so no changes there. However, I can say that while I do like the V2, for the most part, the thing I miss the most is the blank card that was included in the V1.